Hey everyone, welcome to week 4 of the holiday sale for the PlayStation Network 2016. I wasn't even sure if they were going to do another week 4, but yes they are. And it's everything from PS4, PS3, Vita, and even PSP thrown in. We're going to go over everything that has been put on sale, starting from the cheapest stuff to the most expensive stuff. And if I can give a review or let you guys know about the game, I will do my best to do so. Go over the trophies, of course, as well as if I think they're actually worth the price on sale or not. One thing I haven't mentioned in previous holiday sale videos that I keep forgetting to do is every one of the prices, I think you get a bigger discount with Plus. I know at least some of the games you get an even bigger discount with Plus. So if you have PlayStation Plus, the prices may be even lower than what they're showing up on here. So just keep that in mind. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into it. This is week 4 of the PlayStation Network Holiday Sale 2016. Okay, starting off, we have Vanguard and Vanguard 2. These are two of the PSP and PlayStation 3 minis. These were games like arcade-style games from the past that were put up from SNK. We saw a couple of them on last week's sale. No trophy support at all for these, unfortunately. Next up is 3/4 Home. This is a game, wow, you actually have to put in, it has a, I'm actually surprised it's rated. It's basically a very short story, visual novel type game that's all about a family losing their farm and in the mid-1920s, so I don't know much else about it other than that. I assume it does not have a trophy list, or I mean, it doesn't have a platinum. Let's see if we can find it. 3/4 Home Extended Edition, no platinum, but it has a very high percentage of completion, so very, very easy to get 100% if that's something that would intrigue you. $249 does not seem too bad for an experimental little game like that if you're into those kind of games. I usually am. Must have come out probably before I was really doing reviews, or else I probably would have checked it out myself. Next up is The Sun and Moon on PS4 and Vita. At $468, it's currently listed at. This was a weird-looking game. This came out earlier this year. Very, very weird-looking. I'm not sure exactly what is going on with it. Platformer with a unique mechanic. You can dive into the ground. Okay. And momentum is conserved but gravity is reversed. Wow, okay, so that seems like it could be absolutely insane as far as platforming and everything goes. Not a huge sale on it. I'm pretty sure there's another one without that shiny platinum. Yeah, no plat, and a very low percentage. Ooh, an extremely low percentage. Some of these trophies haven't, like, have barely, nope, some of them haven't even been gotten at all, so either that means it's really hard to do, or no one, or it's glitched. But my guess is probably really hard to do, because not a ton of ownership on it. Quiplash is up next for $449. This is part of that whole Jackbox, excuse me, part of that Jackbox Party Pack thing. But this was a standalone version of Quiplash. Quiplash is my favorite of the games in there. It's the funnest to play with friends and with, like, a live stream and stuff like that, where basically you get a question and two people, you know, everyone gets a set of questions to answer, 2 per round. You answer them, and then they pit the answers against one another, and people vote for which one they end up liking. It's all kinds of goofy, crazy, dirty stuff ends up getting coming out and stuff like that. They released a Quiplash 2 as part of the newest Jackbox Party Pack. I honestly would just save your money and buy the newest Jackbox Party Pack, or buy the older Jackbox Party Pack instead of going after the individual games by themselves. But that's just my opinion, and no plats, no surprise on any of them, unfortunately. Next up is The Bridge. This is on PS3, Vita, and PS4 for $399. This was another very interesting artistic style game that came out last year. I never got around to actually trying it out myself. No platinum, though. It's logic puzzles and everything. There you go. It's Isaac Newton meets MC Escher. You can immediately just tell from, like, the way that the art style is done in this game that it's very much like MC Escher-esque. Apparently there is 48 puzzles in the game with a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So it looks like a really cool little puzzle game for those who get into it. $4 is not a terrible price for something like that. So yeah, maybe if you're a puzzle fan and need something to scratch that itch, maybe it's worth checking out. Oh, by the way, nothing new. This is everything that's been released on PSN in the last 7 days, by the way. I'll close that out. I was just seeing if there was anything new this week, but nope, nothing at all. Next up is the Evil Within Season Pass on sale for $7.99. If you haven't bought it by now, don't pay $7.99 for it. I hated Evil Within. I know a lot of people like that game. I absolutely hate the Evil Within. Next up is The King of Fighters 2000, which is at 50% off at $4.99. An awesome fighting game. Some people have this one as their favorite. I like 99. Some people have 98. You know, which year is your favorite for King of Fighters? But this is another one of the SNK re-released Neo Geo style games. That it's done pretty well as far as I've seen. I've never heard anybody really complaining about the re-releases of these SNK classics. Only issue I have with it is the fact that it does not have a platinum, which is disappointing, but still a fun fighting game. Witcher 3's Wild Hunt Hearts of Stone DLC by itself, a couple dollars off. I honestly, at this point, when it comes to Witcher 3, wait for the Game of the Year complete version to go a little bit down in price and pick that up. Witcher 3, my favorite game of last year, and Witcher 3's Blood and Wine DLC, one of my favorite games of this year. Even though it was an expansion, it's still one of the best games. Like, it's hard to argue that something was better than it, even though it's just an expansion. Anyway, next up is Virginia for $6.69. This is a game that almost made my best of list. In fact, I probably should have gone back and included it on my best of list of the year. It's a game that a lot of people aren't going to like. It has a very Twin Peaks, X-Files vibe to it, with an interesting story, an extremely easy plat, so trophy hunters, that's going to intrigue you. That's what originally intrigued me, and then I came for the really interesting way that the story is told. There's no dialogue at all. Everything's done through the unique little animation stuff. It has a very unique look to it, and things are kind of told at a very sporadic way. You kind of have to piece things together yourself, but a really, really cool game. I don't know, maybe it impressed me more than it's impressed other people. But Virginia was really cool. I would pick it up at some point. Maybe $6.69 is still a little bit too much for you, but at some point, if you can get a hold of Virginia and you want to take an interesting ride, it's well worth that. Next up is Wand Wars for $8.39. I still think that's a little bit much for what the game ends up being. It's basically like a in Legend of Zelda, at the end of a lot of Legend of Zeldas, where you're battling Ganon, you're knocking the light ball back and forth between you and Ganon. That's pretty much what this game is on a massive scale. The pictures aren't going to do it justice. You get special abilities that you can then use, but your goal is pretty much to take out your opponent, and the ball gets bigger and faster every time you're knocking it back and forth. It can be a lot of fun. You can play it multiplayer. It also has a pretty darn easy trophy list. There's only 1 or 2 trophies that took a little bit more effort than others to get, but with a little perseverance, I was able to knock them out and get the platinum pretty quick. In fact, I think I did it in one sitting for Wand Wars, a couple hours. So not a great price, I think, as far as sales concerned. It was okay for what the game was, though. The park is up next. I always heard this was an interesting little thing. Some people really liked it. Some people really hated it. $6.49, that seems like a much better price than its initial price of $13, which does not include a platinum. It's a very, very short little horror experience through an amusement park. So right up my alley as far as the amusement park stuff and all that's concerned. I guarantee you, if this had a platinum when it launched, I would have bought it day one. But at least now half off, it's something that is a little bit more intriguing for me to go after. Next up is One Way Trip. This game, it looked insane. I don't even know exactly what to go with it. It seems like a very much drug-induced, crazy ride. That is for sure. I can't remember if One Way Trip had a platinum or not. I want to say, I don't actually remember. Because I remember talking about if we were going to buy it or not. I almost bought it, didn't. No. It must have been probably the end-all be-all. Very low percentage. In fact, one person's never even gotten one of the trophies. 2 of the trophies, protect 2 of your friends from early death, or take care of your stomach. Neither one has gotten. So either people don't care. You can see it's a very, very low ownership as far as this game's concerned. It looks insane. I don't know if $8.99's too much of a price for an experimental thing like that. That's, of course, going to be up to you. Next up is Tabletop Racing World Tour. This was a PlayStation Plus game back in May when it launched. That's a good price for it, though, for those who maybe didn't have Plus at the time and didn't check it out. It's a fun little game. I did a full review for it. It's kind of like a modern Micro Machines in a lot of ways, because you're these cars on like small little things like a sushi restaurant and a cruise ship and like a kid's toy room, like an 80s kids toy room. Really cool levels, some really nice music, the kind of the EDM that goes along with everything is pretty cool. And also has a pretty easy plat. It does have some online trophies, which could get annoying, but overall, pretty good stuff. The Tales from the Borderlands Season Pass. At this point, with Tales of the Borderlands, I would just pick up the physical release that has everything all together thrown in. At least that's not a bad price for it, only $6 for, you know, the rest of the stuff and all that. But I honestly, at this point, would just get the physical release. It's one of those Telltale games, so very easy trophy list. Thrasis is a game I'm not very familiar with at all. I am not familiar with this game at all. It came out back in January of this year. Key to Humanity Survival. Turn-based space strategy game with dice and cannibalism. Sounds very interesting, actually. I don't know how well this game has done as far as everything's concerned. No plat, though. $5.99 though. I don't know. I'm kind of interested a little bit in this one. I'm just a little bit interested in that one. Final Stations. I really enjoyed it. It's pretty pricey. Don't get me wrong, and there is no platinum. This is from Tiny Build. They do a lot of great stuff. It's a game where you are traveling from train station to train station. At a train station, you have to go in, explore, find citizens to save. Find objects and other stuff that you need for survival, low amount of ammo, low amount of health items, and then on the train itself, traveling between stations, you have to keep the people that you saved alive, making sure that you're healing them, feeding them, and all that kind of stuff, so there's a lot of little micromanagement type stuff into it. I really liked it for what it was. I thought it was one of those games I had no idea what it was going to be about when I picked it up, but I actually really liked Final Station. Next up, onto the third list here, we got The Last Blade 2. This is another one of the SNK classic fighting games that's been brought over. $7.49. At least that's half off. Is not a bad price for this stuff, considering you're not getting platinum support. You know, no platinum trophy or anything like that. So at least you get, you know, for a lower price. So if you've been wanting to pick those up, now may be the time to do so. The Walking Dead Michonne miniseries for $5.99. That's not bad. In fact, I still haven't played it. The only reason I didn't pick it up was it didn't have a plat by itself. You know, it's just a no platinum. But I really love the Walking Dead games. I'm a big fan of the Telltale series of Walking Dead titles. So I did want to play this. At $5.99, that's not bad, at least now. Like, at $14.99, I wasn't too sure about it, but that's not bad for the whole thing. Warriors, this is the PS2 game that's been re-released under the PS4, no plat. Warriors, though, is one of the best movie tie-in games. Like, it's an awesome, awesome game. And, like, overall, this is one of those ones that you should check out anyway, if you can. $8.99 still a bit, you know, because it is a PS2 classic that's been re-released. But it's hard to get a hold of on PS2. Like, if you're going for the actual PS2 version of the game, it's a bit hard to get a hold of. So that's not a bad deal right there. Next up is Tricky Towers. It's a game I really liked. A lot of people didn't know, seemingly. It was a free PS Plus game back in August. This is a game that uses Tetris blocks, and you have 3 different styles of mode. One that's like more of a strategic puzzle stuff where you get a certain amount of blocks and you have to put them on the thing in the correct way without going over a line. One where you have to build the tower as high as possible to reach a line first. And then another one is you have to keep going until everyone else's tower has collapsed. There's a single player and multiplayer online. A bunch of different game modes because of that. Overall, I really liked it, but I can see why some people wouldn't, especially $14.99 now outside of Plus, not as intriguing. The Viking Squad up next, a action beat 'em up with a cool looking art style, just one of those games I almost picked up myself back in October, but ended up deciding to not. It has local and online co-op. That's something we don't see a lot with a lot of these like more indie beat 'em up style games. Most of them aren't having online, so that's a huge plus. So it looks like it could potentially be a cool little thing to pick up. I want to say it doesn't have a plat, though. That's what I want to think. I'm correct. So that's a small negative against it. But of course, if you're not caring about trophies, you may still want to look at it. But it's not really that big of a discount. Abzu is a game that is actually getting a physical release, I think exclusive to GameStop in January. So those are like physical editions of games. You may want to go and wait until then. $11.99 is a much better price for this game, as it is a beautiful, gorgeous looking experience. Very short, Awesome music, of course, like just absolutely gorgeous music that goes along with it. Like I said, really, really pretty. But no plat, $20 price tag, and very short. Made it hard to recommend when it came out. $11.99 is a better price, though, for it. I don't know if that's enough, though, to intrigue those who didn't pick it up already. But still, at least that's a better price. But like I said, there is a physical copy coming to GameStop, I think, in January. Next up is the Atari Flashback Collections Volume 1 and 2. $13.99 is not too bad for those. They do have plats. Each of them individually have their own plat. It has a lot of classics in each. There's a lot of games in both of them. I think it's like 50, close to 50 games in both collections individually, so 100 total if you buy both. I did full reviews for them if you want to know individually what games were in which, because I kind of have mixed them up at this point in my mind. Obviously, I know Centipede's in this one, and Crystal Castles is in Volume 2. Those are like my two favorites that are in each of them. There's also not just the Atari 2600 versions, but arcade versions of 9 of the games as well. So you get the arcade Centipede and Millipede, and the arcade Crystal Castles and other stuff. So there's a good amount there. Next up is Here They Lie. This is a VR game that I don't know anything about. I don't know if it's any good adventure-style game and all that stuff. So, unfortunately, this is something that I'm not very familiar with. I don't know if it has a plat, though. I'm not, like I said, the VR games are hard for me to talk about since I don't play the VR stuff. No plat, though. Next up is Inside. This game got a bit of buzz, and one that I want to check out this year, but I ended up not getting around to it, unfortunately. It had, like, a Limbo-esque thing to it in some degrees. Like I said, a very cool-looking game. Like a really unique looking art style to it. It's one that I want to check out for sure. $13.99. I'm not sure if that's going to be low enough to intrigue me right now, just because of holidays and all. No plat though. Always disturbing to me. But anyway, still a cool looking game. I'm not speaking of more no platinums. God, like does anything have a platinum on this list? Very few do. Layers of Fear. I know that's, and also. A lot of people are watching this that are like, I hate trophies, doesn't matter. But I feel like you know, when it comes to PSN, some people do care about it. So I'd rather mention it than not mention it. Plus, I'm a trophy hunter, so that's what you're going to kind of get when it comes to these kind of things. Layers of Fear is up next. Very cool experimental horror game that was very much inspired, seemingly, by PT. It's about an artist, and you know, yeah, there you go, insane painter. And you discover the secret to his madness. It's a very, very cool game. They got a lot of buzz and stuff because it's very beautiful looking graphic-wise for what it was, though it does have a few minor issues here and there. Really short, of course, again. So if you're looking for a horror experience, $10 isn't bad to pay for Layers of Fear. I'm still hoping a limited run games release or something to get a physical release of Layers of Fear. Okay, so next up we have MLB The Show 16. That's this year's current baseball title. I didn't like it as much as I liked last year's. There's just a few minor things changed in it. I mean, they're pretty much the same game every year. $11.99 though, that's not a bad price for the game to get it, to see if you would be interested in checking out more of, you know, the series. It's a very well-playing baseball game that I love buying every year. I'm a baseball fan. There's not many alternatives. It does have, of course, a platinum. But the trophy list this year was kind of crap. There was one trophy in particular that was so pain in the butt, I didn't even bother with the rest of the trophy list. Next up is Resident Evil 0 for $11.99. Not too bad. It does have a platinum. So cool re-release of that. Resident Evil 0 is probably my least favorite of the classic style Resident Evil games. I didn't like the inventory system as much, where you could drop items and all. That was cool, but it just lent itself to other issues. I also didn't like the whole Leech Man thing and stuff. And it also has one of my least favorite bosses in all of Resident Evil, the Bat. The Bat in the Cathedral. Rage just builds up just thinking about it. But anyway, so if you've not played it, though, it's not bad. It still looks great. Resident Evil 0 and the Resident Evil remake both look great in their PS4 re-releases. Those games were gorgeous for their time. The pre-rendered backgrounds they did were just stellar. Like, just blew me away the first time I saw them. We also get Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 on sale. Though this is funny to me. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 were on sale before. This isn't the first time they were on sale. They were on sale for Halloween. But during Halloween, Resident Evil 6 was actually on sale for even less than it is now. So they've actually decided, I guess, because they're like, well, we don't want people to think that Resident Evil 6 is the, crappiest of them, which it is. So we'll go ahead and make sure that the price is even across the board. So Resident Evil 5 and 6 do have platinums because it's just the same list as they had on PS3 and Xbox 360, whereas 4 has the same list it had on PS3, which means no platinum, which really annoyed me with Capcom. Like, there's no way they couldn't have gone back and put more trophy support into it. They all look good. They all play well. There's some almost non-existent load time for 4 and 5. 6, I remember there still being a bit of load time, but 4 and 5 have very quick loading. So there's a plus for it. Plus, you can pretty much now get every Resident Evil just about on PS4. Like, almost. There's only a couple we're missing. I really wish they would re-release, 2 and 3, and then we pretty much would have them all. Next up is Book of Unwritten Tales 2. This is a game that has another very easy trophy list. It does have a physical release as well that's out there. A little bit hard to get a hold of from THQ Nordic at this point, probably, just because it's been over a year since it came out. But it's an interesting looking game. I still haven't gotten around to playing it. It's like a very, fantasy... That thing looks like a Sully, like a rhino mixed with Sully from Monsters, Inc. But anyway, so... There you go. It's an interesting little game. It has very much influence from other fairy tales and the like. Sorry, my dog is going insane over here apparently as I'm trying to do this video. Next up, Evil Within. $11.99 is not a bad price to pay for it, though I feel like you could get a physical copy of the game for cheaper at this point. It was supposed to be the renaissance, the return of horror. Bring horror back to its great days of the 5th gen with Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all that, and to me it absolutely fell flat in every single regard, trying to do things that it didn't need to do and rehashing things from past ideas of older Resident Evil titles, and had an awful stamina system, absolutely god-awful stamina system, and physical combat being absolutely useless to the point why even include it. Everyone's like, well, you're not supposed to use it to do it. Well, don't have it then. If I punch something in the head 10 times, I want it to die. I want that. That's why I love a game like Last of Us. Yes, I can use my gun to fire at, the enemies coming at me, or I could run up and bust a brick over their head, and it's satisfying to do so. Games like this and Dead Island, where it's like, well, your weapon's not powerful enough, your shovel's not level 25 shovel or whatever. That stuff gets on my nerves. Small rant. Done. Anyway, if you may like it, though. A lot of people love Evil Within. I just hated it. Next up is Magic Circle Gold Edition. The Magic Circle Gold Edition is a very weird-looking game. I don't even know what the heck this is about. I'm going to try to pretend. First-person fantasy game trapped in development hell. Well, that is great. Okay, so hold on. That is... Okay, so... The concept is, the game is in development hell, and you're playing as the protagonist of the game, and the game changes, and things change as you go. So that seems like a really kind of cool concept. I want to say no platinum, though, because I would have probably checked this out back then when it came out. Come on. Seriously? It's amongst all these lists. I'm not going through everything. I don't think it has a platinum, though. You guys can correct me. Witcher 3 Blood and Wine expansion for $14.99. At least a little bit on sale. Like I said, this is my top 3 games of the year. Top 4 games of the year, Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. Well worth checking out. I wish it was its own standalone game, so it could be my #1 game of the year. Only reason I didn't give it #1 was because it is an expansion to an already existing game, like DLC. But yeah. Next up is Tron Run. This is a endless runner style game type thing with Tron and light cycles and stuff like that. I want to say no platinum, though, because I remember when it came out. Seemed like for those who like Tron and like that psychedelic colors and stuff like that, there's neons and stuff like the 80s style. I really like that kind of stuff, so I'm intrigued by it. Yeah, no platinum, unfortunately. But $9.99 at least isn't too bad of a price on it. Unravel's up next, a game that came in at number 20 on my best of 2016 list. A very cute, interesting platformer that just has an amazing style to it. You're playing as a yarn doll. It has very realistic, like real-life locations and settings. You get to use your rope, your yarn, to solve the puzzles, grab on the stuff, pull stuff, attach it. Like, you start to unravel as you move, so you have to make it to another spool of yarn to resupply yourself so that you can keep moving on. Filled to the brim with charm. Not only is there bright, happy moments, but there's plenty of dark, brooding areas you get to go to, so really cool game. It has a few little flaws here and there. Some people think it has a really easy platinum. I have a feeling, I feel like it's not as easy as some people want to put it as, because you get to beat every level without dying, which is annoying, especially when some things don't work perfectly in the game. So I end up dying because of mistakes that the game ended up having, but anyway. Still a cool game. And that's not a terrible price for it. Next up, $9.99 for Valley. This is a game you should go check out. This is another one of my top 5 games of the year. This game shocked the crap out of me. It's a first-person perspective platform game. There's a little bit of action and shooting in it as well, but it's very minimal overall. Basically, you are in this vast valley, and you go inside of like these weird factories and mines and stuff like that. You get to run down giant mountains, like cliff sides, and then jump over giant gaps and hook on to stuff and swing across, and just, it was really, really cool. Blew me away at how cool it was when I played it. Some people aren't going to be as impressed as I was, clearly, I'm sure. It has also a fantastic soundtrack that goes along with the game. It's not, of course, an extremely long experience, but it was longer than I actually thought it was going to be. I want to say, it's been a little bit since I played it, I want to say 5 to 6 hours is what it took, though I do have a full review, and I'm sure at that point that's when I knew exactly how long it took me. But I played so many games since, I can't remember exactly how long it was. But for me, $9.99 is a good price. It does have a full trophy list and platinum, so that's another plus to it. Verdun. This recently came out. Like, this was a World War I fight, World War I FPS before Battlefield 1 hit stores that, kind of took that whole thing. I don't think anyone was playing Verdun when it came out. I think it does have a platinum, though. Like, that's one thing with this game. It's a lot of online stuff, though. Like, it's mostly an online game, if I remember correctly. Yes, it does have a platinum, extremely low percentage. Co-op. Most kills 10 times, best player 10 times. Yeah, like, there's a lot, unless there's, like, boosting and stuff like that, or doing, like, you're not gonna probably want to check out Verdun for trophies, at least. Wolfenstein: The New Order and Old Blood are on sale. I would check out these. $11.99 is not a bad price. They both have physical copies, though, out there, so if you're someone who's a physical collector like I am, you may want to go after those. Both were great reboots to the Wolfenstein games, and the throwback levels are fantastic. Like, you actually do old Wolfenstein-style levels in the games, and just beautiful. Great games. I liked both of them a lot, and they both have platinums, of course. I got the platinum in Old Blood. Layers of Fear, the Masterpiece Edition. This was a re-release that had a little bit more added to it. It was the DLC for the game. That's all that was added for an extra couple of dollars. I don't know. I actually didn't honestly play the what is it called? Inheritance DLC. I actually haven't played it, so I don't know if that Inheritance DLC is so good that it warrants a separate buy or all that kind of stuff. Batman Telltale Series Season Pass, $20 is not bad for this. It's fully out now, so if you buy it, you can play all of it. Very easy plat, of course, because it's Telltale. Something I still need to do. So it's the PS3 one listed here. I don't know if the PS4 ones and all are going to be on sale as well as we go through. Hopefully they are. Also, the Jackbox Party Pack Volume 2 and 3 are on sale right now. I like how Volume 2 is $10 on PS3, but $13 on PS4. Like, come on, really? Just put them at the same price. It's kind of stupid, but a lot of fun. All of them have games in them that are unique enough. They're different games in each one, too. Some of them are sequel games or kind of similar, and they each have at least 1 or 2 games that me and my friends love to play, and my stream loves to play, so worth checking out. Next up is Tumblestone. This is a game that did actually get a physical release, surprisingly, like out of nowhere. It came out back in July. Yep, July. It is a, like, you can see what it is, kind of like a puzzle game that I think you go from bottom to top, similar to like a Bust-A-Move-esque thing in some ways. I don't know if it has a full trophy list or not, though. I actually never opened up my copy and saw that if it did or not, but So yeah, actually, surprisingly, Templestone does have a platinum. It has a low percentage because there's one trophy in particular I was just looking at for beating 3 nightmare bots. There it is. 3 nightmare bots. No one has gotten that trophy, so I'm sure that's probably really hard to get a hold of. But it does have a physical release for those who would be interested in doing that. Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Edition is up next for $20. Of course, Diablo 3, most people are going to want to probably play it on PC over PS4, but from when I played it on PS4, I didn't beat it, but it seemed like it played pretty well, so well worth checking out. If for some reason you haven't gotten Diablo 3 in some way, shape, or form, I would check it out. EA Sports Rory McIlroy PGA Tour. I heard this was actually disappointing to a lot of people that picked it up last year. It was limited as far as the amount of courses that were included, with a lot of DLC planned and stuff. I know it really put a lot of people that actually like the game off, at least the friends that I know that play it. So I'm not sure, you know, if it's as good as the old Tiger Woods games or not, but from what I've heard, not really worth the price. MLB The Show MVP Edition, no point in getting this. If you're interested at all in trying it out, just go ahead and get the original regular. This doesn't really add anything that you need to worry about too much. Estival vs. Simran Kagura Estival Versus for the Vita version, not the PS4 version, but the Vita version. That's kind of weird that that's there. But anyway, I love these games. I love the Simran Kagura series. They are fan service. That's all. That is their purpose, along with a beat 'em up game. They have multiple different genres that have now come up with the Simran Kagura series. There's a cooking one that's out on Vita. Unfortunately, Vita only digitally, as well as also on Steam. There's a new one coming out where it's competitive squirt gun battles. It's insane. It's crazy. But anyway, that's a thing. I like these games. I did a full review for if you're interested. Next up is Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited. I know a lot of people picked this up or were like, Elder Scrolls Online, it's going to be awesome, and then everyone dropped off. Like, I don't know very many people that are playing it. I'm sure there's a lot of people still playing it. I'm not dissing anyone who does. I just know it didn't seem to have much of a retention. I would not pay $17.99 for it. If I was going to get it at this point to try it out, I'd get it for $5 or $10. Next up is Evil Within Digital Bundle. I've talked about Evil Within. I think this is the bundle with the DLC, though, I assume, so at least that's not too bad. Yeah, and all Season Pass content. I actually heard one of the Season Pass stuff, one of the DLCs, was actually really good, but after I hated Evil Within so much, I never went back and did the DLC. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition for $8.99. This is a good price for this. I don't know if it's ever been free on Plus or anything. I have the physical copy of it when it came out. This is the polished version of the PS3 release that brought like Lara Croft back into the fold. It was a lot of fun, a lot of action, really cool game. I would, for that price, that is worth it. If for some reason you haven't checked it out or can't find a physical copy for the same price or cheaper, that's worth checking out. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, nothing's gonna save this game. I enjoyed it for what it was. A lot of people destroyed this game. I didn't have nearly as many glitches as a lot of people did, but the game wasn't finished. They've also released a bunch of free DLC to it to make the game a lot better now than what it was at launch. Be careful, though, if you get the physical version of the game, the disc itself only includes, like, the first level, like the opening level, and that's it. You have to download the patch. So if for some reason you see it on store shelves and you don't have an internet connection, which I know there are some places with very weak internet connections still or don't have it at all, Tony Hawk 5 you're not going to be able to do much with. Obviously there's a patch you will be able to download, but it's a huge patch because the entire game is the patch. Next up is Toho Genso Rondo Bullet Ballet. This was, I've talked about the Toho games before. These games are a series of fan-made games that like a fan kind of thing, doujin games they're called or whatever, where there's a whole bunch of characters in this whole universe, and all these creators have created all kinds of different games with these characters. It's kind of like a free-for-all. I don't know if there's rules to who can and can't make games based on it. I'm not into it at all. The fans are rabid and scare me. Honestly, they scare me a bit. But anyway, so it's basically a fighting game, but you use like bullet hell style of fighting. Like you're firing bullets at each other in bullet hell style, and you do ultimate moves that become kind of like a bullet hell boss. Really kind of cool concept. It's based on another Japanese game that they took the concept from, but still a really cool game. It does have a trophy list, though very difficult probably to get through. Not a bad price for it. It also does have a physical out there if you're wanting to check that out. Next up, Tron Run Deluxe Bundle. I'm not sure the difference, but I would just pick up the original. Umbrella Corps. No, don't buy it. $14.99. No, unless someone makes a physical copy and hands it to you for free, like, hey, look at my mixtape. Don't do it. Don't mess with it. Ignore it. It was awful. It was god-awful. I did a full review if you're interested, but no. Don't do it. Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. This did get a physical release as well. This was the PS3 game that was brought over to the PS4. That was done pretty well as far as the port went. It's a really awesome war strategy, RPG-esque things. Like, it's a really awesome game and series. Unfortunately, I've never played the other games in the series because they were released on either PSP or Vita, one of which, 3, was Vita exclusive in Japan. I don't even think it got a US release at all, at least last time I had looked. Had they gotten console releases, I probably would have checked them out. But well worth checking out. I don't know if $23.99 is really that intriguing of a price for those who haven't already bought it, but very well worth buying at some point down the line, or at least giving a try to. Watch Dogs for $14.99 at this point. No, I would not bother with Watch Dogs at this point. I would just get it for a cheaper price. Deadpool for $19.59. That's pretty low for it. Some reason this game's physical version of it is still a little bit scarce and hard to get a hold of, where its price point is staying up. The lowest I've seen Deadpool go for on PS4... Oh, sorry, that's the PS3 version. That's not even the PS4 version. Never mind. PS3 version you can get for much cheaper. Don't bother with the PS3 version. PS4 version, though, because it was re-released on PS4, that physical version is floating still at lowest at $20, but upwards of still $25, $30. It should hopefully go down lower at some point. But anyway, PS3 version, though, I wouldn't even check out. I just wait for the PS4 version, get that. Grand Kingdom for the Vita. This is also a game that's on PS4. In fact, I just picked up the PS4 copy from Gamefly for $15. So I would not pay $20 for it, but I haven't had a chance to actually play it. It is a JRPG. So I know a lot of people are probably into that, obviously. If you're into it, you should probably maybe give it a look now that it's lowering in price. Like I said, if I was able to get the physical for $15 already, you're probably going to be able to get it even lower in the near future, so you may want to hold off. I Am Setsuna for $30, not worth it. I don't think it was worth $40. I still, I liked it. It was one of my best games of the year, but it wasn't a game that wowed me to the point that it's going to stay with me forever. To me, it's the game that tried so much, but just didn't quite live up to what I had hoped. It has a very Chrono Trigger-esque battle system with even stuff like the X-Strike, X-Slash move and all. It was a good game. It was a good JRPG. It's not a great JRPG. I feel like those who loved it, I question whether or not it was just because we are so desperate for halfway decent JRPGs anymore that people loved I Am Setsuna, but to me it was overpriced, and they didn't even do a physical release for it, which was even more mind-blowing. Way too expensive for it. I think if it was $20 right now, $20 at this point would be an okay price to pick up I Am Setsuna. So if it drops down to $20, I would go after it at that point. Kerbal Space Program. This game is a lot of stupid fun, creating rockets and trying to get these stupid little alien guys into space. Lots of hecticness, a lot of failing, a lot of fun to watch other people play. Not something I particularly like playing myself, but I love to watch people play it. It's on PC, Steam. That's where, of course, it's really popular. A little bit pricey, though, even with the discount. But still, a very fun game. Lego Marvel Avengers. This is actually lowering in price physically, so way overpriced still at this point. I would wait until you can get a physical one for even lower, which is definitely out there. So if you haven't bought this one yet, like I haven't bought it yet, it's going to get lower in price soon. In fact, I'm expecting between $10 and $15 soon enough. Senran Kagura Esther Reverse is the PS4 version. Talked about that. Witch in the 100th Night Revival Edition. This is the PS4 release of this game. This game's also on PS3. Both got physical versions. This was a action, top-down, dungeon exploring RPG from what it looked like. I still never got around to actually trying it out myself. I actually own both PS3 and PS4 versions of the game and still haven't gotten a chance to get around to playing it. But it had a interesting look to it and fan servicey box art, so that was intriguing enough, I guess, for me to go after it. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, $20 for the original version without DLC. That's still not a bad price because it's such an amazing game that you need to give a look to. You know, even if you don't end up liking it, like, it's one of the best games of, if not the best game of this entire generation of systems. So to me, it's well worth looking at. And $20 is not a bad price for just, I mean, you're gonna, if you like it, at $20, if you like the game and enjoy playing through it, you're going to get 40, 60, 80, 100 hours out of it with tons of side quests and just amazing game. So that's not a bad price digitally. I'm not sure how the physical is as far as price is concerned at the moment. There's also the physical release for the Game of the Year edition version of it or whatever with all DLC, which is what I would recommend getting at this point. But if you just want to test the waters and you're not sure about DLC and expansions and just want to see if you like the game, $20 is not that bad. Witness for $23.99. I've heard a lot of people love this game. It's puzzles, lots of puzzles. That's all it is a puzzle game where you kind of move around this island and then go to the next puzzle. I heard they're very challenging but very simplistic in delivery. That, like I said, a lot of people have really liked this game. High price point for me when it originally came out, and still a pretty high price point. It does have a platinum, but one of the trophies in the game involves a randomly generated puzzle that's very difficult, I've heard, for some people. So unless you're like really good at the puzzles itself, it may be a difficult platinum to get. A very cool looking game, and I'm surprised it got as much popularity as it ended up getting. A lot of people seem to really like it. Next up is Trackmania Turbo. This is a game that I picked up physically recently. It came out back in March, and I wanted to pick it up then, but unfortunately I couldn't. But very fun looking game that has like absolutely insane racing and tracks. Where you create, you know, I don't know if you can create them. Actually, wow, it actually has a VR support too now. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know it had VR support in it. So you have, look at that, 200 unique tracks. Lots of, like I said, track builder. I'm pretty sure that was a big part of it, was being able to create your own tracks. So that's cool that it has VR. I didn't even know that was included. I don't know how well it works, but still, I will have to check that out at some point, especially when I get the VR eventually. Next up is Transformers Devastation. This was free on Plus back in October. $24.79 is still too much for it from Platinum Games. A decent game for what it is, but I would not pay $25 for it. In fact, you can get a physical copy for less than that. It's starting to go down in price. I've seen them as low as $15 for the physical version, so you can get it cheaper elsewhere. Next up is Transformers Rise of Darkspark. This is for the PS3 one. Yeah, not worth checking out for $20 at this point. I would just, if you haven't gotten it already, you can get it lower. I'm sure the price at some point was lower or will be lower for the physical version of the game. So, not really, but then again, I'm also not really a big Transformers guy. So maybe the games are so great that you need to go out. But I heard the other ones were better. And I can't think of this, Cybertron and all. I heard those were much better game. That was a much better game. Trials Fusion Awesome Max Edition. Trials games are fun as heck. Crazy antics that you're able to pull off. Very difficult. Like, easy to learn, difficult to master kind of games. Where you're on these crazy tracks. It's 2D perspective from the bike. And the bike does, you have to do all these crazy loops and just have your bike lined up properly so you're able to land. And just a lot of timing is involved. And just absolute insanity when it comes to the Trials Fusion games. So well worth looking at if you've never tried them out before. Umbrella Corps, no. Once again, no. Watch Dogs, not worth it. X-Blaze Lost Memories. This is a visual novel game that did get a physical release on the PlayStation 3. In fact, it's sitting on my shelf somewhere. This is part of the BlazBlue universe, along with X-Blaze Code Embryo. $20 is not that bad for it. I'm pretty sure it does have a platinum, though. I'm pretty sure all of these X-Blaze games do have one. Yes, yeah, look at that, they all do. They're on, like, every system, too. It's even multiple lists, even. And it has very high percentages because it is a visual novel. In fact, I need to boot up one of these X-Blaze games on my PS3 and just go ahead and get my platinum in it already. But obviously, if you don't like visual novels, you're not going to want to check it out. But I say if you like visual novels and you like BlazBlue, Blizzity Blue, Bliggity Blah Blue, then you need to go check out X-Blaze Lost Memories. $20 doesn't seem like it's that terrible price. The Attack on Titan game for $40. At this point, I know it's already lowering in price physically for the PS4. I'm not into the whole Attack on Titan thing anyway. I like the concept that it could be fun in a game, because there's sometimes animes that I don't get into, but they're like the concept could lend itself to a cool game. I don't know if that's the case with Attack on Titan. But if that is the case, I will buy it eventually, but not at a high price. I would wait. If you haven't bought it yet, $10 really isn't that enticing to me. Black Ops 3, way overpriced. The PS3 version of Black Ops 3, really, at this point, still $29. No. Casey Powell Lacrosse. How could you go wrong with Casey Powell Lacrosse? Actually, you probably could go wrong with this. This is, it's lacrosse. We don't get many lacrosse games. Look, that's one thing. I want to say it does have a platinum. It's probably a pain in the butt to get a hold of. There's also cricket games and handball. I love the fact that we have these alternate sports titles out there. Like the sports games that never get any love. Like lacrosse, handball, cricket. I love that. The problem with it, for me, is that they are too pricey. Because I'm getting it as I'm not getting it as a lacrosse fan. I'm getting it as a sports fan that likes to try new things. So for $50 at launch, these games are way overpriced. Even at $30, that's way too much. If these games came out at a $20 price point, I would probably check out a few of them. But being the price that they are, it's hard for me. Plus, I've heard none of them standing out as being, amazing titles. So I don't know. If you're a lacrosse fan, maybe you're into it. If there's anyone who watches this that actually has played it, let me know about it in the comments. Homefront: The Revolution, do not buy it for $20. This game is better now than when it was at launch. They've patched things, made it better. But I got my copy a few months ago at $10. So you can get this game already cheaper elsewhere. So do not bother at $20 for the digital version. You can get it cheaper elsewhere. Talos Principle, in fact, this was actually just starting to lower in price as far as physical release is concerned. So it may be worth checking out for some. It's another like puzzle style game. And it seemed really cool, but it was way expensive for me at $50. But $12.49, where it's normally $50, that's a humongous price drop. So maybe that's intriguing enough for those to check it out. I'm pretty sure it does have a plat. So let me double check. That may be finally one that's for trophy hunters that were interested in it. Yes, it does. It has not a high percentage, not as high as I was expecting. Must be like 1 or 2 difficult trophies. But maybe with a guide, and it has a lot of owners, so I don't know. People that if you've gotten the platinum in that, let me know how hard it is. But that's a good price for it. If you were going to get it, that looks like to be the price to get it. Complete edition for, okay, so Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition for $30. We just talked about it at $20. So for $10 more, you get the 2 DLCs. And like, you may think, well, DLCs usually, these DLCs are far beyond any DLC that like come out. They, just Blood and Wine alone added an extra 20 hours of game for me. And I still didn't even do everything in it. So that's just, like, and I know the other one, Hands of Stone or Hearts of Stone or whatever, did about the same as far as, like, another 10 to 15, 20 hours of gameplay. So you're paying $30 for what could potentially be, at minimum, like 60 to 70 hours. And then you could go all the way up to, who knows how many hours, depending upon how many you do every side quest and doing all this stuff and what difficulty you play on. So, a lot of bang for your buck, even at $30. Division, I would not pay $30 for Division. In fact, I paid $10 for my copy of the Division. So, Ubisoft has tried to get this game going. I know they've added some stuff that's been cool, that people have come back to the game briefly and then immediately left again. It was supposed to be a big deal. I was hyped for it at first, and then when I found out it was kind of like this online thing, I was like, that's probably not going to do that well. I'm not really that interested anymore, so I didn't buy it at launch. Glad I didn't. Because like I said, I got my copy for $10. Watch Dogs, more Watch Dogs. Damn, they really want to sell don't do it. Just, you can get it cheaper elsewhere. The Ezio collection for Assassin's Creed at $47.99. This is going to drop in price in the next few months. This is the collection that includes Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. 2 being arguably the best game that the series has ever seen. My personal favorite is still 4. But a really cool compilation. I know there was some crap that came out with it when it first launched. People just want to look for anything with these Assassin's Creed games to crap on them. But I think once they're going to be fixed up and stuff if there is any issues. I heard some of the issues that they did have were actually in the originals too, so it wasn't like new issues that had come up. But anyway, bit pricey still though. I think you'll be able to get a physical version cheaper within 6 months. So unless you need to have Ezio Collection right now in your hands, I would wait and get it for cheaper much down the road. Talked about Attack on Titan. Like I said, a little over $10 price difference for the PS4 and PS3 version really isn't that enticing to me. Battlefield 1 for $40. This was already lower as far as physical release was during Black Friday. I saw it lower. So, it's not, to me, it's definitely not going to be worth that price if you haven't bought it already. Black Ops 3 at $40, no. Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition for the PS4 for $29.39. Not, to me, like we talked about earlier, I like it, but I think that price may be a bit high still. Dirt Rally is a game I don't have anything to really talk about with Dirt Rally. It's obviously a racing game, which is not my cup of tea. That seems, for me, way too rich for my blood, but maybe somebody will see that and likes that, kind of game so much that they would, like, wow, that's a great price. Dishonored 2 for $40.19. I feel like with that, I mean, that's a decent discount for it, considering it just came out in mid-November. But since I didn't pick it up yet, I won't be buying it until it's cheaper, and it will get cheaper. Much, much cheaper down the road. It's not going to be some rare game or anything like that. So, for me, I'll wait until it gets cheaper and pick it up then. FIFA 17, $30 for this isn't too bad, but, of course, it's a sports title. It's not going to hold value. So, for me, I would just go ahead and wait for it to go lower if I'm going to finally check it out. UFC 2, while another sports title, this is so much fun to play, especially even if you're not into MMA or UFC at all. But you can have you have some buddies that could come over and play against you. They don't have to know the game. Trust me, we've had more fun with people that do not know how to play the game than I've had. Like, it's just an absolute blast to just get in there and just wail on each other and try to lock each other in submissions. This is our favorite go-to drinking game. When we, get together, have a few, get a little bit inebriated, and then boot in UFC 2. It is a blast. It's so much fun. I can't recommend it enough for that reason. As far as a standalone single-player game, it has a full career mode where you get to create your character, male or female, and go through the ranks and all that stuff. So there's a lot there, plus online. There's a lot to the game. And it has a pretty in-depth fighting system that when you're able to master it and learn it, there's a lot there. But I think even without learning it and mastering it, you can still have a lot of fun with the game. So $14.99 is not a terrible price for it. F1 2016, not something I'm into either with the F1 stuff. I would never pay anywhere near $35.99 for an F1 racing game, but I'm sure there are fans of the series and genre. Does Red Bull just sponsor a car in every single thing? But anyway, so there you go. F1 racing. Next up is Madden NFL. At this point, though, I would just save your money and not pick up Madden for $30. There's another MLB Digital Deluxe version. Jeez. Just you don't need that. There's not going to be anything that special with it. Next up is Odin Sphere. Lift her, sir. Sir. Her, lift, life, her, sir. I don't know. Anyway, I've actually already seen this game much lower in price physically out there, so that does exist. It's not going to be like this super common game where it's going to really drop probably to like $5 or $10, but below $20 you can easily eventually get a hold of it get it. It's a really cool game though. I love the original Odin Sphere, and I do want to check out this one. It's like completely like redone version of the original Odin Sphere. There you go. Like everything was redrawn, but they've also included the original version in it. It's a 2D action RPG type game that has a lot of just a lot of cool stuff that you're able to do in it. So anyway, I would check out the series if you're able to get it cheaper, but I don't know if I would pay $47 for it at this point. Star Ocean Integrity and Faithfulness. This is the newest Star Ocean game. I've only played a couple hours of it, unfortunately, just because I don't have time to play RPGs as much as I like to. It did not impress me, though. Like, I think if it impressed me more, I would have been much more into it. The voice acting was dull and just way too long-winded for me. Like, it was getting on my nerves. So many cutscenes, just, like I said, it's near the beginning of the game. So, as you get into it, I'm sure it opens up and gets better. The battle system was pretty fun. I was enjoying the battle system like I do in a lot of other Star Ocean games, and I like some of the characters. But it's just so much getting into it that I've only been able to spend a few hours with it, so I wasn't very impressed. But I've also heard from people, some other classic Star Ocean fans, that they weren't impressed either. So, and they played much more of it than I did, so I would wait lower price. Street Fighter V at $30, no. So if you haven't bought it yet, you're not into the fighting scene at that point, like, save your money, you'll get it for cheaper down the road. We've talked about Elder Scrolls Online, the gold, I don't care, Gold Edition, Platinum Edition, whatever, that ain't worth $41.99. Phew. Next up is Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition for $40.19. This has already been cheaper at Black Friday, and will continue to get cheaper, so do not pay. If you haven't bought it already, you can get it cheaper down the road. King of Fighters 14, much better to me than Street Fighter V was this year. Still a bit pricey for those who maybe aren't too sure about it. That will be lowering in price as we go as well, but I think a much more complete fighting game at launch than what Street Fighter ended up presenting. Of course, screenshots aren't going to give me much of anything with it, but if you like King of Fighters and you haven't checked it out yet, it's worth checking out for sure. I really liked it, and I'm still liking it. I'm still enjoying it, but yeah. Next up is Titanfall 2. $30, half off is not bad for it. This is a game that, like, the first one I had no interest in because it was mostly online. The second one, supposedly with the single player and everything else, is a really well-made game. But I'm sure I'll be able to get a physical version of this game for $10 to $15 within less than a year. So I'm going to wait until that point to pick it up for myself. But $30 already, considering it came out in October, is a pretty good price drop. So maybe that's enough to intrigue people. I can't believe anyone would pay $34.19 for Tony Hawk on PS4. So I guess that was the PS3 version we were looking at earlier. I just assumed it was on PS4. Oh God, do not pay. Never mind. Do not pay $34.19 for Tony Hawk. More Transformers. This is the Gold Edition. Homefront Revolution bundle. Madden bundle. No. Like, none of these bundles are enough to really intrigue me to do anything with. Maybe the deluxe edition of UFC 2, but I don't even know what that adds. I'll come back to Watch Dogs in a second. The deluxe edition includes 5 of the legendary fighters and some UFC points. So you get Mike Tyson and Bruce Lee and Bassarotten and a few other things. So I mean, that's not bad for the extra like $5 or whatever, but you don't need them or anything like that. But Watch Dogs 2 at $45.49 for the deluxe edition. I liked Watch Dogs 2 a lot more than Watch Dogs 1. I would recommend checking it out, but I still think that may be a bit much at this point, considering it's been out for over a month now. And if you haven't bought it yet or didn't get it for the holidays, wait a few more months, and I guarantee you it will drop drastically in price. Okay, and last but not least, the final thing, more Rainbow Siege. They put Rainbow Siege stuff on this every single week. Call of Duty, no. More EA Sports, FIFA, definitely not paying. Like, come on. Come on, for these bundles, no, and no. The Telltale Collection for $54.99, though, this is intriguing to me. It comes with Game of Thrones, Tales of the Borderlands, Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead Season 1, and Walking Dead Season 2. Season 2 does not have a platinum, if I remember correct. Season 1 does. So that'd be 4 platinums and an easy 100% for $54.99. I mean, that's still a bit pricey. These games are great, though, especially Walking Dead Season 1 and Season 2. Telltale does a great job in the storytelling department, and that's what the games are. They're storytelling. They're not like games, like hardcore games, that so a lot of people don't like the series. If that had Batman in it for that price, though, that would be probably worth it. Totally, but at least that's an interesting bundle. That's not too bad. The Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Destiny Collection. I'm surprised they're even bundling them together. Battlefield, Call of Duty. Plus, it's the same collection as this, but you also get the Modern Warfare Remaster. But look at these prices, man. Like, no. And Battlefield 1 Titanfall 2 bundled together. Definitely not. So there you guys have it. There is everything for the PlayStation 4 Holiday Sale 2016 Week 4. There is everything. We've gone over it all. If you've enjoyed this, let me know down in the comments what you thought of this or any of the previous weeks. And I will be doing more sale stuff as it comes up. I was going to do one for the flash sale that was over the weekend, but there was nothing in it. Like, it was a really pitiful flash sale. Like, it was really bad. Like, maybe one game at all was even worth mentioning. So that's why I didn't even bother doing a video. Plus, it was the holiday on all that good stuff. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this, and if you've watched the other weeks of stuff, I really do appreciate it. This is just adding some more content to the channel and trying to engage everyone in a different way, in a different level and things, and God, being a YouTube creator is not necessarily the easiest job in the world. But anyway, guys, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed.